A lot of football, and let's be honest, a lot of bad football.
Well,
that was not a great slate of games. That
It
was
wasn't.
Not, the teams don't look overly great. Like that was. I mean, it's week 3. It's still the first month of the year, but you thought some of the rust or some of the issues might have been knocked off after the first 2 games. But leave it to the Patriots to prove with their week 3 performance that that's not the case. And you got more bad games yesterday, more bad performances, more sloppy football.
Okay, you did, but you also got some of the what I assumed were terrible teams and teams maybe worse than the Patriots.
Yeah.
They won.
Yeah, they did.
The Panthers won and looked good.
They look real good.
Your guy, Bo Picks.
Bo Picks
The
killing
Broncos won. The Giants won.
Giants. Brian Daboll hot seat got a little bit cooler yesterday.
You know, so like, I don't know, maybe Tennessee is still
But I was
a
gonna say,
run
but then
below the Pats.
Tennessee blows. Turns out Cleveland actually blows. You know, there's a bunch of teams. Maybe the Saints didn't figure it out after 2 weeks. Like maybe they came crashing back down to earth a little bit. But yeah, some interesting results. The Dolphins, with all their quarterback issues, they look like they're a mess. But yeah, I mean, I think the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the league, like without a doubt.
Are they the worst though? Like not to swing the pendulum too much.
I think we will.
I had them 3-0 and I was picking out wins going into Thursday night.
You were loving how the schedule laid out.
Okay, but you have to admit,
I think
even if you were down on the team, Thursday night was foundation shattering.
Yeah,
it was the thing where you look at it and go, okay, Seattle's 3-0. They took Seattle to overtime.
And Seattle's a nice team.
They beat the Bengals week 1. We're going to watch Cincinnati again tonight. The first 2 weeks were fine. The first 2 weeks were pretty good.
No, this one was a soul crusher.
Thursday again was foundation shattering. So not to swing the pendulum too much.
No.
And be way over here and now I'm way over there and I'm all over the map. But I'm going to be all over the map. Are they the worst? I'm now wondering if they're the worst team in football after watching the whole league yesterday.
I think there's a chance that they are. I think we will know for sure between week 7 against Jacksonville in London and then week 9 at Tennessee. Week 9 at Tennessee.
That's your Super Bowl.
May determine who gets Travis Hunter. Like that might be what it comes down to because that Tennessee team looks awful. And they're sticking with Will Levis. He's throwing pick sixes every single week. He might be the worst quarterback currently in the league. And therefore, there's usually a quick dot to connect to worst team in the league, right? If you have the worst quarterback play, you have the worst team in the league.
Usually pretty
But the Patriots are also in that conversation, right? Their offense is a mess. But guess what? Turns out, so's their defense. That's a surprise. Didn't think the defense was going to be as bad as it was. And he thought after the first 2 weeks, maybe they'll play more competitive games. Maybe there'll be a tougher out for a lot of teams. So you don't want to like overreact too much to one game, but just the way that Thursday night game played out, it was demoralizing. And you look around the league, they do play a couple of other stink bag teams later on in the year. But right now, they're 1-2. Looks worse than some of the other 1 and 2s is another way of kind of putting it.
Yeah, and it just feels like, again, week 1, when you look back at it, it was Cincinnati checked out, and it was more about the Bengals not being ready to go for whatever reason than really anything the Patriots did. Seattle, I guess you can still feel okay about, maybe even feel better about that game.
Yeah, but they should have won. They were up in the fourth quarter, and if they won that game, now the Jets game, even if the Jets game plays out the same, you're 2-1, and you're like, all right, throw that one out. That one sucked. Throw it out.
Short week. They're on the road. Vintage Rodgers. Okay,
whatever.
You can write it off.
But you lost, and even though you played competitive against a team that is 3-0, so like on the one hand, it's like a little bit of a tip of the cap to the old Seattle Seahawks. You were up in the fourth quarter. You were up by 3 with the ball on their 21-yard line, and you lost.
Yeah,
at home. You
lost a chance to just run the game out, and you lost.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know if you heard any of the crossover there, but I listened to Drake Maye today, and he just sounds still a little too content and happy. And, like, add the Drake Maye stuff on Thursday night. Waiting around for the GOAT, sitting there with the goofy smile on his face, waiting for Aaron Rodgers. And they just feel a little too content and a little too happy with where they are for 1-2. And I was pretty happy, too, before Thursday night.
Well, 1-1 was a lot different than 1-2.
Yeah.
And just the way that it played out.
And now they might be the worst team in football. So how bad is it going to get, Keefe? And how bad can this season be? How long will this season be? I guess watching the league, I'm assuming a lot of you did yesterday. You can jump in here on Jones and Keefe today, 617-779-7937. That's your phone number to get in touch. You can text us at 37937. A lot of ways to interact with the show, at Jones and Keefe on Twitter and Instagram. You can watch on twitch.tv/Boston WEEI or on YouTube. Subscribe to WEEI. If you were watching the league yesterday, what were your takeaways in relation to the Patriots? To me, it's going to be a long season. It's going It's going to be a very long slog this year, and I didn't feel that way going into Thursday night.
Yeah.
But coming out of week 3, I now feel that way. Maybe I'm overreacting. You can tell me if I am, but that's how I feel after watching the league.
Yeah, and I also think, not to play your side of the street, but the next handful of games, it does kind of open up a little. It's not as murderer's row as we once thought. I'm certainly not giving them wins. Like, I'm not chalking up wins. But you saw San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
No, I'm not either. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know, because you asked, like, how bad can it get?
Yeah.
Like, so they got absolutely pantsed. Even though they lost by 21 on the scoreboard, it felt like 41, right? They got absolutely destroyed by the Jets. But we just saw the Niners blow a game to the Rams, and they have a million guys hurt. Miami is down to their third quarterback. Who knows who will even be the quarterback by the time they play the Dolphins?
Mac Jones?
Maybe. The Houston Texans looked awful in the game yesterday. Jacksonville is awful. Then you get the Jets again, and then Tennessee, maybe the only team worse than you. So, like, I still think that's a ton of losses, but it might not be the 34-0 loss like, the Patriots had last year with Mac Jones and Bill Belichick against the Saints, or the 38-3 game against the Cowboys. Like, it might not be as ugly as those, but it's still piling up losses and, squarely looking at the under 4.5 wins for the season total.
And the Brissett thing hurts it. Like, Mayo.
Well, that hurts the entertainment value significantly as well.
Well, when I say it's going to be a long year, like that's what I mean. It's just they're not going to figure it out on offense with Jacoby Brissett, and they might not with Drake Maye either. But isn't there a chance you figure it out with Drake Maye? There's a chance with the number 3 pick in the draft, you plug him in and things change like that. I mean, Carolina. It's not a perfect analogy because Andy Dalton is not a young quarterback. Their young quarterback is the one that got benched.
But it's still
people flipped on a dime with a competent quarterback.
Yeah, to me, I mean, people have twisted themselves into a pretzel talking about this, about how around here you need everything to be right before you put in the quarterback. But then you would ask, what's the most important position in sports? And the same people would say quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, so can the quarterback not make the play of the bad O-line a little bit better? I'm not saying he's a miracle worker, but he can't improve those guys. The wide receivers who have done nothing this season, he can't help those guys. Even the running back, just take a little bit of pressure off of him. Like, the better quarterback can help the entire situation. And I know it's not a perfect situation for him, but, like, what's the spot that you just put a guy in? Like, you're all set. Everything else is good, so you're going to be able to – then guess what? Then you don't need the great quarterback because you do have everything else. Patriots don't have that. They need great quarterback play to help pull them out of this.
Yeah, and so, again, you might not get it with Drake Maye. I'm not telling you you're going to get that. And, Mayo comes on today with the Greg Hill Show. If you missed any of it, it's on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Get it on your phone, free, easy. Take it with you wherever you go. And he comes in and he says, we're going to stick with Jacoby Brissett because I watched the tape. And I felt more confident about it. Maybe he did. Maybe he talked to Elliott Wolf. He talked to other people in football ops, and they said, we're doing this because it's not really Gerard Mayo's call.
I don't think it is his call.
Which would explain the difference in approach on Thursday night after the game versus him coming out on Friday and saying, Jacoby's our guy till I say he's not.
Is he just the guy until he turns it over? Because he hasn't turned it over yet. So is that all that it takes to keep his job? Because that's what it feels like.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's more related to the calendar? I feel like they've had the Week 5 Miami, Week 6 Houston.
Possible.
They've had those circled, and it's just, Jacoby, just get us to that.
But he, after the game, was a little bit more open. Remember, like we talked about it on Friday. We're like, it's a little bit more
open. The door
was
ajar.
The door's slightly ajar. Yeah. And then he slammed it pretty shut the next day. So it was like, all right, if he knew the plan was Week 5 all along, post-game press conference Week 3, aren't you like, no, Jacoby's our guy? Because that's the plan. Unless he's looking for like a little bit of wiggle room to like go back to the guys. I'm like, is this still the plan? Like, can we get out of this?
Right.
Can we pull the plug on this one? This plan's not going great right now.
So I do think, and we were just getting into this a little bit with Greg and Wiggy, but you do start to really look at Elliott Wolf. Like, whose plan is it with quarterback right now? Is it Elliott Wolf's plan? We know the roster is yes. Thank you. I don't think people are feeling good about the Wolfpack these days.
I think people hate the Wolfpack. I think he actually is unanimously now the most just like, yeah, I do. I really do. I think he is. I think the offensive line being in the state that it is in has been squarely in Elliott or on Elliott Wolf's lap right now. I think he is getting most of the criticism. You can be mad at Mayo. You can be mad at Van Pelt. You can be kind of I don't think you can be mad at Brissett. He kind of is what he is. But you can be mad at the coaches, right? You can be mad at Kraft because he's the one that picked all these guys to put them in place.
Yeah.
But I think Elliott Wolf
5 years ago he picked him.
But I also think Elliott Wolf, yeah, that's true. I think Elliott Wolf inheriting this team, like knowing what this team was, right? It's not like he came in from another place. Like he knew what this team was. He went through the draft, he went through free agency and whatever opportunity there was for trades. And he was the one that was like, we're good. We have the offensive line. We have it. We just got to figure out the combinations. Like, what? Like, he's the one that said, like, Chuks Okorafor is going to be the left tackle on this team.
For 12 snaps.
He quit.
What he left out was the 12 snaps.
And
part,
then quitting.
Yeah,
and then just
quit,
bailing on the team.
AWOL, left, will not play for the team, yeah.
So your third-round draft pick who played right tackle in college has to start at left tackle early in the season. Like, I think that is all falling on Elliott Wolf because he was pretty – like, that was the one thing. You remember, he was kind of like snapping back at people a little bit in the preseason when they were questioning, like, the offensive line looks awful. Like, he's like, no, we're good. We got to figure it out. We just got to figure out the right formula or whatever. And you're like, it stinks. And so that was a problem. That's been a problem for going on years.
Yeah.
And he just neglected it. And now, because most of the people that don't want to play Drake Maye point to the offensive line.
Right.
So if the offensive line sucks, why? You point to Elliott Wolf. So we're not seeing the number 3 pick in the draft because of Elliott Wolf. I think he's the guy that people are most mad at.
It is a neat trick where Elliott Wolf's like, well, he's not ready, and we're bringing him along, and you can't plug him in. Why can't you plug him in? Oh, because we don't have an offensive line. And why don't you have an offensive line? Oh, because I didn't do anything about that in the offseason. Oh, cool. But at least there's some weapons to pass to, right? Oh, no. We don't have those.
No.
Oh, why don't you have any weapons in the passing game?
We didn't get any of those guys.
Oh, we didn't really get those guys.
We didn't get any of those guys.
Yeah, we just re-signed everybody from last year and decided to run it back with a 4-win team. That was my call.
I was happy at the time with the Jalen Polk pick.
Me too.
But going into the draft, where you're like, all right, you need to sign a big tackle, you need to draft a quarterback and a wide receiver in some order. Like that was sort of the consensus, right? Not everyone felt that way, but
and probably get an additional outside receiver
and get
as well.
more, and get more. And they apparently were in on Calvin Ridley, just missed. Aw. Then they were in on Brandon Ayuk, just missed.
Ah.
But if you were willing to, let's take them at their word that they were willing to throw around that kind of coin.
Sure.
All those hams they were willing to spend on Brandon Ayuk.
Hams on hams.
You couldn't have split those hams and gotten like a starting tackle. Like, where were you on the starting tackle situation? And you thought it was a Okorafor? So the Steelers didn't want him.
Nope.
The Steelers were like,
no, the Steelers benched him last year, and then we're like, we're done with that guy.
And then said, see you later.
As a right tackle, they benched him.
He was not good enough to be the right tackle on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Patriots were like, left tackle! Sign him now! We need him to play left tackle for this team. And then it was a mess. And then the Onwenu stuff also isn't helpful. Like, Elliott Wolf keeps puffing his chest out about that. He's like, we signed the best lineman in free agency. It's like, yeah, but I think he wants to play guard.
Yeah.
And now you're sticking him at tackle because you don't have any tackles.
Right.
So, yeah, that has been a colossal failure.
So, who are you angriest at? Maybe that's a good way to ask it. I think a lot of people are upset with the Wolfpack. It seems like they are. You said people now hate the Wolfpack.
I think they hate the Wolfpack. They despise the Wolfpack.
They fully despise the Wolfpack.
NWO Red.
And again,
they don't like it.
It is just a weird trick where Elliott Wolf is like, you can't play Maye.
Yeah.
And then people turn around and blame the roster when he built the roster.